There is a lot of hype surrounding the Moderna vaccination now. That's Moderna, Moderna vaccination. Probably obvious if you're watching around 1 year's proximity of me making this video. I think that it would be valuable to take this video through a walkthrough of what it looks like when I look at a vaccination trial, which the same trial report that big authorities, big governments are being convinced by, that we need to get this Moderna vaccination. This is the kind of data that suffices. So let's take a look at what it is. We'll go here because actually this is just the trial report. The first one is an article. Alright, let's do it. So there was a group of people. They were split 1-to-1. One group got the placebo, one group got the vaccine. They got 2 injections, 28 days apart, of either a vaccine or a placebo. Just in case you don't get this, the 2 doses, you either get 2 of the placebo or 2 of the vaccine. They didn't experiment to see about 1 dose with 2 injections when you don't actually know if you've got 2 vaccines or 1 vaccine and 1 saline. Anyway, let's move on. Half the group was vaccinated with a vaccine, the other half got injected with salt water. 30,000 people. Here we can see a brief overview of what's happened. So 28 days apart, yep, over 18 years old. Participants were followed for safety and the development of lab-confirmed symptomatic COVID-19 over a median of 2 months after the second dose. So we have some 58 days, some 2 months of strict monitoring for certain things after they were injected. Here we can see straight up that there were some issues with the injection site. These actually were only reported 7 days after the vaccination, but we'll get into that. We will go into the supplementary index to look at as much data as we can. So as you can see, COVID-19 was lowered. So they say that the vaccine has a 94% efficacy against symptomatic COVID-19, because the COVID-19, to have COVID-19 in this experiment, you had to have some kind of disease symptom. We will have a look at actually exactly what you had to have right now. And you can pause this video and just read through any of the parts that I'm skimming over. I'm just cutting to the meat. Can't even remember what I was looking for, but I'm thinking that it'll come. Yeah, that's right, I remember now. Here's a quick little reference to what the placebo was. I told you it was saline. It didn't actually say it. Well, here it actually says it. So now we're up to scratch. include monitoring of solicited means someone else, like a medical professional, had documented it. Unsolicited means the person themselves voluntarily reported the issue. For 7 days after each injection, unsolicited adverse events for only 28 days after each injection. This must be when the trial's going to end on day 759, because we only have data for 2 months afterwards. But anyway, we'll see about that. This is basically just saying what happened when they had a look at how safe it was, how they looked at it, how many days for each different kind of safety measure. So here's where it says how they're going to assess a COVID-19 case. They're assessing how efficacious the vaccine is. I mean, how well it is at doing what we hope that it does. That's one thing. And then another thing is, how safe is it? To me personally, I think how effective is it should be all bundled into the one. And I mean, we should look at an overall account of how much disease incidence occurred in the vaccine group and the saline group. That is the effect the vaccine had on this complex phenomena called disease genesis, and I mean within the cellular constructs that we evidently are still learning about. So COVID-19 cases in this experiment were defined as you had to have at least 2 of these symptoms: fever, chills, all these different kinds of disease symptoms that are characteristic actually of a feverish, fluish kind of sickness that the average person gets maybe once a year. You have to have 2 of those kinds of symptoms. And you have to pass positive for SARS-CoV on the PCR for SARS-CoV-2. So to have COVID-19 in this one, you can't simply pass positive for it. You actually have to have some symptoms as well. For it to be recognized as severe COVID-19, this is how they recognize that a severe COVID-19. It has to be COVID-19, and you have to have a hectic heart rate, breathing rate, or some other interesting stuff. So the supplementary index contains all these, all the hectic data that I'm interested in. They wanted to reduce severe COVID-19 and they wanted to reduce normal COVID-19. And normal COVID-19 in this one is COVID-19 positive plus some symptoms. So the results, it looks here, 14,000 people either side were included for the broadest analysis. I think we should cut to this is in the supplementary index. I think this is just basically saying there are some issues with the vaccination itself, like the treatment. The other more interesting issues, adverse events, are the ones that we don't know if it was the vaccine or not. It's just someone ended up getting. It's not good that they get cancer, but that's an interesting figure. How many people develop cancer either side? But 2 months is how long we have to look at here for these strictly monitored disease genres. Well, let's get to it. Let's just get to the supplementary index now. Yeah, you can actually look. You can type in that link and go and look at all this stuff if you feel that something is important that I've just scratched over. Brushed over. So this is where the meat is concentrated. This is where we get some big insights. So this is the baseline settings. Some people were positive for COVID-19 at the baseline. Well, these are the people who were included. So the ones who were positive at the baseline weren't included. Anyway, I'm trying to find the meat. I don't care who was black. I just care that both the groups were equally constituted in their racial profiles, in their health quote, in their obesity, all that. Okay, so 7 days after the first vaccination by grade. Just take my word, it was terrible for the vaccinated group. No one, not like notably terrible. It was deemed safe enough, the vaccine, but there were more issues for the vaccinated group: fever, fatigue, myalgia, all that. 7 days after vaccination. So this is solicited adverse reactions. It's said to be like related to the treatment, I think. And yeah, the vaccinated group is just much worse off. Yeah. Vaccinated group much worse off. This is all like actually, I'm not sure if this is the 2-month period or the 28 days, but it's alright, because see, more people died in the placebo group than in the mRNA group, so we don't have an impact on the mortality rate for this experiment. We probably would if it went for 5 or 10 years. I mean, it's bound to be that either side is going to have a significantly different mortality rate, because it's quite a significant treatment when you vaccinate somebody. So I don't know. You might want to pause the video. This is 28 days after. I want to look at the big 2-month data, and I think we're getting there. But as you can see, for the 28 days after the vaccine, it's not good for the vaccinated group compared to the saltwater treatment. Here we have an interesting data table. This is the one where I'm pretty sure this is the 2-month set. And as you see, the placebo actually has reported more serious adverse events. Not significantly more, just 6 more out of 150. One thing here is that COVID-19 is listed here as an adverse event, but the thing is, to actually have COVID-19, as they said, you need to have some of these as well. I mean, what is it? Well, that'd be severe COVID-19, I think. All of the other disease symptoms that you have while you have COVID-19 are noted here. COVID-19 is also noted here for some reason. I don't know why, but the vaccination did prove that it lowered the chance. It did something to the body to make it less likely to pass positive for that PCR test. Did it do something to the body to make it less likely to cough? Well, we got respiratory failure here because it's a serious adverse event. How is COVID-19 a serious adverse event when you actually only need to have 2 of those symptoms that we looked at before? Actually, the symptoms themselves aren't serious adverse events, it looks like. Those first symptoms that are non-severe COVID-19, that are for non-severe COVID-19, they're not here. But yet COVID-19 itself, that's going to be listed as a serious adverse event. No, it's not. But okay, why don't we have measles here and all the other different kinds of microbe signatures. This to me is out of place. COVID-19 is not an adverse event. I'm not sure why there's a big row of zeros there, but there are some zeros in the placebo group. Unsolicited adverse events of hypersensitivity. I said this is the 2 months set, and the vaccination group had a significantly worse issue with hypersensitivity. This is all about the cases of COVID-19. So this is the data of the humans who did pass positive for COVID-19, 11 of them in the vaccinated group, 185 in the placebo group. This is all the kinds of disease incidents that they had. Look how much cough they had. Wouldn't it be appropriate to add here another table of the humans themselves, regardless of whether they passed positive for COVID-19, how much cough they were quoted with, how much difficulty breathing? These are all things that get added up in the overall disease incidence tallies. When you say in the experiment, oh, I'm sick today, what's wrong? I got a headache, I got a fever, I got body aches. All right, cool, boom, boom, boom. That all should be added up at the end of the experiment. And during the midst of a pandemic, if this is a successful vaccine, we should see a clear-cut example of lowering disease incidence. But actually here we just see a clear-cut example of lowering PCR results and a claim that COVID-19 in and of itself is a serious adverse event. See, that's the only thing that sticks out here in this table. Why is there such a larger number of COVID-19 in this one than that one? Oh, because this group all passed positive, not because this group had more coughing, not because this group had more fever. This group had more positive results on the PCR test. Apparently that's an adverse event, a serious adverse event. I am not impressed. I do not want this vaccination. I am not convinced that it is going to upgrade my chances of survival. What's this? Serious and severe treatment-related adverse events up to 28 days after injection. I want to see the whole 2 months though. But okay. Severe adverse events, incidents of unsolicited. Oh, it's just a great vaccine. Oh my god. What, this sticks out? Oh, injection site issue. Yeah. That sounds plausible. So we're being implored to get this vaccination. She's a secondary definition of COVID-19. Secondary symptom of COVID-19 requiring one symptom or asymptomatic infection as measured positive by the PCR at the scheduled pre-dose to visit. Okay, more PCR cult stuff. Okay, we're being implored to get this Moderna vaccine now. It's added to the list of champion vaccines, and the disease incidence looks like it was higher overall in the Moderna group compared to the saline group. And it looks like there's a mistake that the team made in putting COVID-19 As we just saw, they're even writing up COVID-19 for asymptomatics. Apparently, they're going to list this as a serious adverse event. If I've made a magic potion that's going to make the body less likely to pass positive for COVID-19 on my magic wand, that's got nothing to do with actual disease incidence. But apparently, these people think it fits in the serious adverse event category. Wait, what day is it? Am I dreaming? Sam Harris reckons if you look at the time twice and it's the same, you're definitely not dreaming. I don't know if he's done a controlled experiment or what, but this is all out in the open. It's not suspicious. It's not weird. It's not like there's people lying to you that this vaccine is great and it's actually not. It's these people believe it's great because of this. I believe it's not because of this. Vaccination itself, I'm still waiting for someone to make a positive impact on the mortality rate in a controlled experiment before I go ahead with conceding rationality and the belief of life saving there of